friends, welcome to my continuation of Swiss Meringue Buttercream. In our last video I showed you guys my recipe. I hope you guys have tried it. It is delicious, and as I mentioned, it's elite. It is the elite frosting. But we do have to know how to color it because it's slightly different. Since it is a meringue base, if you use regular food coloring, like water-based food coloring that you'll typically find in the store, it's not going to work as well if you don't take certain steps. So that's what we're going to start with, is a water-based food coloring, which is what most people will typically have in their home. So I'm starting out with this Sunset Orange. This one's by Chef Master. I love Chef Master. And then we're going to mix it on up. And what you'll notice is it's going to come out as kind of like a pastel kind of orange. But in order to get that more intense color, we're going to have to do what we call bloom. Now this pastel orange is super pretty, but if you want deeper colors, you're going to have to add in a ton of food coloring in order to get it darker. And even then, it's hard to see in the video, but when you look closely, it's not fully incorporated. It'll look kind of speckly because the food coloring is not meshing well with the meringue base frosting. So in order to bloom, I'm just going to scoop some of the buttercream out, maybe a tablespoon or 2 or 3 apparently, and put it in a small container. And then I'm just going to go ahead and microwave that. And you can see I've got it all melted down, and when it's fully melted, it is bright, it is intense, it is amazing. That's the color I love bright colors. So then we're going to put that into our mixture, and then we're going to mix it all up. And what this does also helps with knocking out all of the air, so you don't have bubbles in your buttercream when you go to pipe it, because it's bringing it to like a softer kind of consistency there. But we're going to mix it all together here, so that way you don't have to worry about melting the entire batch of buttercream and then putting it in the fridge and waiting for it to come back to a solid and then mixing it all up. This blooming is nice when you're more wanting to do it quickly. So we just mix in that melted little buttercream, and it's going to intensify the color here and make sure everything melds together really nicely, and then you get a nice pretty orange. And you can do this, you can do this more than once, but the more times you do it, the more you're risking having a very melty, soft buttercream that you might have to refrigerate for a little bit. Now option 2 is oil-based food coloring. So one of my favorite brands is Color Mill, which is what I'm using here. I absolutely love them. However, you'll see based on my bottle, it is slightly messy, their food coloring, but it works really, really great. And it'll just mix right into the buttercream. Because it's an oil base, you don't have to worry about that speckliness happening that happens with our water-based food coloring, and you don't have to bloom if you don't want to. So this is what it'll look like without me doing any of that blooming technique. I won't be taking any of it out to microwave. We're just going to mix the food coloring right in. I'm a little low here, so I know it looks like a lot, but it was just tiny little drops. And I'm running low on my hot pink because that is my most used color. But this just mixes right in. It's super duper nice, and it works famously, and you don't have to do anything extra. Color Mill, they have a website online, and a lot of different baking shops will sell it third party. I get mine at my local bake shop, so I am so happy that they carry it because that is very convenient. And I think they are also on Amazon. But you can see it's mixing in nice here. It's not crazy pastel like that orange one was when I first used that one at the beginning. And then again, if you look close, it's actually all mixed in. It's not going to give you kind of a seasoning sort of look. So it's nice and pretty. That's your oil-based food coloring for coloring your Swiss Meringue Buttercream. It's great, especially if you're in a rush and you're not trying to, do whatever you can to deepen the color. This will go right in for you and work great. Now last but not least, this is Color Mill as well. And then I believe I changed colors on this one. This might be like a fuchsia. And then I did the blooming technique. So I've got that melted buttercream. It is going to intensify the color a little bit, just not as dramatically as it did with that water-based food coloring, because Color Mill or any oil-based food coloring is already kind of doing that work of incorporating. The blooming isn't as intense of a difference, but it does still deepen the color. This is also a great way to get those deep colors without turning everybody's mouths purple and red and blue or whatever color it is that you're doing, because you can use less since you're using that heat treatment to intensify the color. So that's how you color your Swiss Meringue Buttercream. I hope you got a lot from this, and I'll see you guys next time on Cloud with a Chance of Sprinkles.